Welcome back to The Explainer. So today, we're diving into a case that has absolutely shattered a family and honestly captivated the public's attention. We're talking about the deeply tragic and incredibly complex case of 17-year-old Sarah Grace Patrick. We're going to unpack every detailed aspect of this case. And to do that, we're relying strictly on the established facts, the testimonies, and the actual evidence presented by both law enforcement and the family members closest to the tragedy. Let's get right into it. Okay, here is our roadmap for today. We're going to start with Section 1, the night of the murders. Then we'll look at Section 2, a small, crowded house. Section 3, social media and red flags. Section 4, the shifting stories. And finally, Section 5, the arrest and defense. Let's kick things off with Section 1, the night of the murders, which happened on February 20th in Carrollton, Georgia. Now, to really grasp this case, you have to look at the timeline. It's crucial. The tragic murders of James and Kristen Brock happened on February 20th. But then, and this is a big deal, there was this massive 5-month gap before the eventual arrest of Sarah Grace Patrick in July. That's 5 entire months of ongoing police investigation, combined with some really unusual public behavior, which we'll get into. This waiting period is absolutely key to understanding the shifting dynamics within this family. To really picture the crime scene, we need to know exactly who was inside that home when the murders took place. It breaks down into 3 distinct columns. First, you had the victims, James and Kristen Brock, who were shot in their bed. Second, you had the suspect, 17-year-old Sarah Grace. And third, heartbreakingly, you had the sole witness, the couple's 5-year-old daughter who actually found her parents. Nobody else was reported to be in the home that night. That brings us right into Section 2, a small, crowded house. The physical realities of this crime scene are vital. You really have to think about the sensory reality of this space. It was a very small house. The bedrooms were incredibly close together. We're talking maybe only 8 feet apart. On top of that, James Brock was on an LVAD heart machine. If you don't know what that is, it's a life-saving device that is notoriously loud, like loud enough to alert people outside the room if something goes wrong. Now add a minimum of 4 gunshots to that environment. Between the tight quarters, this incredibly loud medical machine, and the gunfire that the 5-year-old heard, well, it becomes really difficult to imagine anyone else in that house just sleeping through the whole thing, right? So let's shift over to Section 3, social media and red flags. Now looking back, there was this haunting warning from the stepdad himself. According to James's niece, he had repeatedly told the family, "She's not the Sarah that you guys know. You don't see the real Sarah." That's a chilling thing to hear in hindsight, isn't it? It suggests there was this entirely hidden side to the teenage suspect long before any of this tragedy even occurred, and it's a side the family has been forced to re-examine. Things got even more intense at the funeral itself. Listen to this excerpt from Sarah Grace's speech. She said, "I want to thank Tasha, Bree, Nate, Lane, Kimberly, and most of all, my father, Angie, and Ben. I'm sorry." Extended family members pointed out she didn't shed a single tear, and honestly, the whole speech felt strangely scripted. It sounded more like a social media shout-out list than an actual eulogy for her mother and stepdad. And get this, a spokesperson for the Carroll County Sheriff's Office explicitly said that ending her speech with the words, "I'm sorry," was viewed as a major red flag by law enforcement. We also have to contrast her public face with her private actions because they were totally different. Publicly, she's posting these frequent TikToks mourning her parents, even tagging true crime content creators to cover her story. But privately, she's claiming an intruder executed her family, yet she never expressed any actual fear of a killer being on the loose in her neighborhood. No warnings to the community, nothing. And maybe most jarring of all, at a family yard sale right after the deaths, instead of looking for sentimental items to remember her mom by, she was weirdly focused on hunting for a brand new comforter and bedsheets. Which leads us to Section 4, the shifting stories. So the big question here is, why did Sarah's story keep changing when she spoke to the victim's family? As we go through these next few details, I want you to really ask yourself what these shifting narratives might actually indicate about that night. Let's walk through exactly what the niece reported during those 5 months. First off, Sarah repeatedly changed the details of what happened. The family says the story was literally never the same twice. Second, she would constantly text her aunt with these strangely detached messages, saying things like, "Sorry you don't have Mr. James," instead of, calling him her stepdad. Third, she would openly theorize that the killer must have known the layout of the house to know exactly which door to enter. And finally, even though the family was desperately searching online for the killer, Sarah never once reposted or helped share their pleas. This revolving door of theories and her overall strange detachment, it absolutely fueled the family's suspicions.
And that brings us to our final section, the arrest and defense.
5 months in, the prosecution had built what the Carroll County Sheriff's Office calls a mountain of evidence. This wasn't something they threw together overnight. It was a meticulous investigation. They had to analyze extensive social media data, which meant jumping through massive legal hoops with tech companies. They extracted phone records from Sarah, James, and Kristen. And they're still awaiting highly specific scientific evidence from the crime lab. Law enforcement is very clear. This methodical, time-consuming process is exactly why they are so confident in bringing these charges.
But we absolutely have to look at the other side of this, because there is a completely different perspective out there. Take a look at this incredibly strong statement posted on Facebook by Sarah Grace's biological father. He wrote, "My daughter is 100% innocent. I did not turn her in. She voluntarily went there because of the Warrens. She has nothing to hide." Both he and her maternal grandfather vehemently maintain that she is completely innocent and that she faced the authorities voluntarily to clear her name. So, as the legal process officially gets underway, the concrete facts are these. 17-year-old Sarah Grace Patrick is currently facing 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault in the deaths of her mother and stepfather.
And that brings us to the end of our explainer, and to a profoundly difficult reality. 7 children across this blended family have been left without parents. Their lives are forever altered. We have a family that is deeply, painfully divided. We have a biological father claiming total innocence, and law enforcement sitting on a supposed mountain of evidence that hasn't even been fully revealed in court yet. It all leaves us with one powerful, lingering question. What truly happened in the dark that night? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning and keep learning.